What's up, guys? Hope you're all doing well. So, Surron, rumor has it, coming out with a new bike. That's always very exciting when it happens. And before I get too deep into what they're coming out with, speaking of the Surron right there, before I tell you what they're coming out with, let's go ahead and talk about the landscape that they're competing in. So the way I see it, to give you like a spectrum here, if we're ranking the bikes by power, I would begin the spectrum with something like the Surron Light B, the bike we're all familiar with. At this point, it's many years old, like at least 5 years old. And as a refresher, the Light B, 3,000 nominal, 6,000 peak, 60 volt battery. You can also put the Teleria here. This is the Teleria and the Surron Light B are essentially the same thing. The next step up is the bike I'm on right now, the brand new Mantis X, which by the way, I am still absolutely loving. But this is 6,500 watts and more importantly, 72 volt battery. So a lot more power here. Then above this bike, we have the E-Ride Pro SS. That's 72 volts, 12 kilowatts of power, and a pretty big battery at 40 amp hours. Further beyond that, we have the Surron Ultra B, which came out 2 years ago at this point. That bike it's actually 74 volts. Interesting number there. 12.5 kilowatts of power. And the battery is massive. It's 55 amp hours. But this bike, the Ultra B, is where we get away from the small e-moto category and we begin to get into larger full-size electric dirt bikes. So when talking about Surron's new bike, we have to talk about it within the context of the spectrum and where it competes. So this document right here is the only information we have so far on the bike. It doesn't tell us much, aside from the fact that we can expect a new Surron bike in the immediate future, and that it looks like the drivetrain is going to be potentially the big change here. So from this photo, it's kind of weird, but it appears that we have some kind of a gearbox. If true, that'll mean that the new Surron, it's much more similar to the Teleria and even this bike, how instead of having a primary belt drive, they have an internal closed-off sealed gearbox instead. And that debate between a gearbox, a belt drive, it really comes down to personal preference. A gearbox means that you have to do oil changes on your electric bike, but a belt isn't perfect either. You have to constantly adjust the tension, and they do wear out. Now to get some more insights, this is why I love Reddit. Somebody commented on this post saying that they recently went to their local Surron dealer, and the shop said that a new model, the Hyper B, is about to come out. And it has the power of the Ultra B in the format, the frame, the size of the Light B. If this is true, which is a big if, that is very exciting. In terms of competition, that would put this bike squarely against the new E-Ride Pro SS. I would expect a similar power level, around 12 kilowatts, a 72 volt battery. The capacity is a bigger question. It's not going to be as big as the Ultra B, which is 55 amp hours, but it could be bigger than the E-Ride Pro SS, which is 40 amp hours. If they came in with a 45 amp hour battery, that would be a compelling selling point over the E-Ride Pro SS. Even the price should be similar. The Light B is $4,500, the Ultra B $6,500. So this model, if it's somewhere in between those two, I would expect around the $5,000 price range. Again, squarely against the E-Ride Pro SS. Now we're not going to know the actual specifications of this bike until it officially comes out. And if you guys want to be the first to be notified when that happens, subscribe to the channel. I will, of course, be covering it when it comes out. But if these assumptions are true, this is going to essentially make the Light B completely irrelevant. If it's not already irrelevant, which I think it kind of is. I mean, the bike I'm on right now, the Mantis X, it's more powerful than the existing Surron Light B. 72 volts, 6,500 watts. And this is only 3,000 bucks, so it's cheaper than the Light B as well. Because you have to remember, the Light B hasn't been updated in years, so it's become irrelevant, unfortunately. And this Hyper B, even though it's a different model, it might just be the successor to the very popular Light B. Especially if that comment on Reddit is true, and they maintain the Light B footprint and just give it more power, 72 volt battery, all the things that, we all actually want. But I have to say, I'm a little bit nervous that the hypothetical bike I just described to you guys isn't what we're actually going to get. I really hope that this leaked image of a new drivetrain setup isn't the only thing new with this bike. If it is, and it's still like a 60-volt system, then to me it's completely dead on arrival, unless it's ultra cheap, cheaper than this bike. We're talking in the $2,000 range, and I just think it's unlikely that we're going to see a bike that's even cheaper and more entry-level than Lightbee. Plus, I don't think people really want that anyway. So to recap, a new Surron bike is imminent, going to be called the Hyper-Bee, and early indications point to it being somewhere in between an Ultra Bee and a Lightbee. Hopefully Lightbee size with Ultra Bee power. That would put it squarely up against the E-Ride Pro SS, hopefully with similar specifications and a similar price point. However, if the bike falls short of these expectations and it's not even 72 volts or it's not super cheap, then I think it's dead on arrival and just buy yourself something like this instead, which is 3,000 bucks, 72 volts, and a ton of fun. But let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And again, when this bike officially launches, I will be one of the first to cover it on this channel, so subscribe if you want to see that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.